to those who were my elders. I've listened to those who were older than me, who were more wise than me. I've listened to those who were more experienced than me. And I've heard them tell me all of my life about what their childhood was like growing up. I remember my grandparents and telling me all about their life as they were growing up, and many of the stories I heard, from the 1900s, and, they grew up without cars, and therefore they walked everywhere, they rode their bicycles everywhere, and I heard about how they had no electricity. A little scary. I've told you from day one, fat boys and heat don't go good together. I can imagine living in Florida, growing up with no electricity.
Amen.
No. I don't know if I can handle that. Well, maybe I wouldn't be as fat as I am now. Right? And think of this. They grew up with no telephone. Dear God, what did they do? I'm like, you can only play checkers so many times, right? Come on, that string on that can had to have broken a million times, and you had to run down the road and tell them, listen, fix your end of the can, right? And then when they did get telephone, can you imagine picking up the phone and 10 other people listening to your conversation?
Yeah.
Hello. No, thank you. Sometimes I don't even want to listen to my conversation, right? Yeah. I've heard all of these stories. And let me tell you what they were really trying to tell me. Guys, 100 years ago, the pace of life in America was about 5 miles per hour. Everything was much slower. Everything was much more relaxed. Everything was much more chilled, if you will. In fact, my grandfather used to say, listen, boy, he said, life goes at about 5 miles an hour, and he said, that's the speed at which a good horse can walk in about an hour. That's what he used to tell me all the time. Can you imagine that? And most of us can't. But we look around our world today, and everything about our lives now is at such an accelerated pace. There's so much to do, and so little time to do it. In fact, there is a disease that has been identified by the medical professionals of our world. It's called hurry sickness. You say, I've never in my life heard of hurry sickness. Well, in fact, it was identified about 40 years ago by a cardiologist who recognized that nearly all of his heart disease patients had a lifestyle of hurry. More tests were done. Germany, Japan, Italy, and all of these tests and research projects came back to prove a proper label for a disease called hurry sickness. In fact, when I begin to think about hurry sickness, I realize that it is a disease that is infecting us all.
Amen. True.
It's a disease that is taking us out one by one. In fact, last night, my wife and I just had this discussion. Do you realize how many pastors don't make it to their 70s or their 60s? Most of my mentors checked out in their 50s. But they were men that ran at a wide open pace. They were men that suffered from hurry sickness. And I looked at my life this week and I said, wow, it's not a disease that one inherits. Could be one that's learned, but moreover, it's a disease that's chosen. press the accelerator. Now, I got to tell you, I'm a little bit different in some sorts, because in Tennessee, things are a little bit more laid back. Some parts of Tennessee, we're still used to sitting on the front porch drinking sweet tea and inviting our neighbor over to enjoy it with us. That's kind of the way I grew up. And I prefer more of a laid-back, kind of chilled lifestyle, if you will. So, my wife will be the first to tell you, I don't normally get in a hurry to go anywhere. Somebody will say, it's time to go somewhere. All right, I'll be ready in a minute. And that minute could be 60 seconds. It could be 5 minutes. Or she said it could be an hour. But see, I've learned that a few minutes in Tennessee and a few minutes in Florida mean two totally different things. When I say a few minutes, what I really mean is, I'll be there when I get there. I'm taking my time. I'm resting. I'm chilling out. I'm not one for fast food, because fast food means I've got to gulp it and run. I'm not much for that. I really prefer going in, sitting down at a restaurant, because I want to take my time to eat. I will not be the first one that is finished.
Amen.
Careful. No, I'll not be the first one finished. In fact, I enjoy my food. Y'all can tell. But I love to eat. I enjoy my food. And so when I eat, I want to sit down and I want to savor every bite. I mean, after all, I'm paying for that food, right? I want to enjoy it. I want to taste it. I want to smell it. I want to sense the texture of it. That's just me. My meal time may be an hour. That's okay. If Jesus were to come back, I'm going to be able to say, I had one last good meal. I enjoyed it to the last bite. I can't say the last drop. I don't drink coffee. But I enjoyed it the last bite. Here's what I learned about hurry sickness. Not only does hurry sickness ruin your health, but it'll cause you to miss out on a whole lot of moments in life. It'll cause you to miss out on those things that we used to call Kodak moments. That was back in the day when we would develop film.
Amen.
Kodak moments. I remember my son, one Christmas morning, he only wanted one thing. It was a SpongeBob television. That's all he wanted. So, being the good dad I am, I got a SpongeBob television. I wrapped that sucker up. I put it under the tree. And I could not wait to go wake him up. I went in. I opened the door. I didn't have to say anything. Those eyes popped open. And maybe he got out. He ran to the Christmas tree. He opened that SpongeBob television. And his excitement was exuberant. It was amazing. Oh my goodness. He played with that thing 10 whole minutes. And I'm not sure it was ever turned on again. But I'm going to tell you, in my laid backness and relaxedness, I enjoyed for 10 whole minutes the excitement on my son's face. I will never forget the look on his face. In fact, there was a female heart patient once who was asked, if you could wish for anything you want for Christmas, what would you wish for? And her answer was very, very sobering. She said, to hear the little pitter-patter of feet running down my hallway. To be able to change just one more diaper. Or to be able to rock my baby to sleep one more time. You see, those are the very things that most of us are rushing through in our lives because we don't really have time to appreciate them. We miss out on so much because of hurry sickness. And those are the very things that we're struggling with today. And we don't realize it now. But when your family or mine sits down around the dinner table for a meal together, which is almost unheard of in our society today, those truly are the best days of our lives. Those are the conversations where we laugh. Those are the conversations where we talk. I mean, we're actually talking around the dinner table, and it's like this and not like this. Man, those are the best days of our lives. But let me tell you what hurry also does for us. It makes it harder to listen to God. Hurry. Rush here. Rush there. Do this. Do that. Because you see, before we put God first place in our life, now we're in a hurry. We're in a rush. Guess what we do? We get up, our feet hit the floor, man, we take off running. And if we have any time left over, we'll fit God in to the crack of the crevice of our day.
True.
And then we wonder why our lives are in the shape they're in. Hurry will cause us to have a hard time listening to God, hearing Him. And it makes our hearts less tender, less compassionate toward others. We don't have time to hear people. We don't have time to feel people's brokenness. We don't have time to weep with people. Jesus wept and weep with those who are weeping, mourn with those who are mourning. We don't have time to weep with people who are weeping. When's the last time you had a friend or a family member? They're broken, they're hurting, and you just went over to sit down beside them, didn't need to say anything, but you just put your arm around them and sat and cried with them. We don't have time for that anymore. The Bible says, rejoice with those who are rejoicing. We certainly don't have time for that anymore. Hey guys, something big happened in my life. I'm throwing a party. I want anybody to come over and help me to celebrate it, and let's rejoice in what God's done in my life. Well, I would, but we got T-ball, and I would, but I think I've got to work today, and I volunteered for overtime because we sure couldn't use the money. Hey, Dad, could you come and hear my music recital? Well, sweetheart, I would, but I told John I'd go fishing with him. Hurry. Hurry, sis. All of us can relate to that. In fact, Jesus is our model example. Give your Bibles, turn them with me to Matthew chapter 11 for the next few moments. Matthew 11, 28, 29. I want you to see where Jesus says, I have the solution. We're all looking for a cure, and we all think if I could just pull the plug, we'd be all right. And I heard another say, well, why don't we just put our phones aside, and that'll help us. You know what? People had certain sickness before they had phones.
That's right.
The phone is not the problem. The problem is the solution. What do we do to try to solve that? Well, I love what he says in Matthew. Jesus says, very simply, come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Come to me. In fact, what he is saying is, I realize that we get busy. I realize that we don't know how to control the pace of life. I realize that you don't know when to pull back the reins, when to let off the throttle. I realize that you're going to get tired, you're going to get weary, you're going to be broken, you're going to be hurt, you're going to be disappointed. In fact, again, if all of us were to be honest, most of us are probably just weary, tired. Tired from carrying burdens, tired from our labor. Think about it. He gives you an invitation. Come to me, capital Me. I'm going to tell you, capital Me is the only one who can solve your weariness.
Amen.
your brokenness, your burdenness. The capital me, Jesus, he says, come to me. If there was any other way it could have been solved, he would have told us. But he said, just as he said, I am the way, the truth, the life, no one comes to the Father except by me, he is saying, I am the only place you are going to find rest. Amen. You can try it every other way, but it ain't going to happen. Because here's what we need to understand. When you get tired, when you get weary, when you're heavy laden, when you are burdened down, it is more than a physical heaviness. It's a soul heaviness. It's a spiritual heaviness. Don't believe me? Get to that point of exhaustion and go take you a long week's vacation in the mountains of East Tennessee, probably one of the most relaxing places in all of the world, and 7 days in a cabin with nobody around won't cure your tiredness and your weariness. You will come back, and you know what we do? Let me tell you how we cover it up. We come back from vacation, and we say, man, bless God, I need a vacation from the vacation. No, the problem is we go off thinking that what we needed was a physical rest. What we really need is a soul rest. We need a spiritual rest. No cabin in the mountains of East Tennessee can give that to you. There's no beach on the face of this earth that can give that to you. There is no place except for capital me. Jesus said, I'm the only way you can get to heaven, and I'm the only way you're going to find rest until you get there. Come to me, all ye who labor. I hear my grandfather talk about, boy, I work 6 days a week from sun up to sundown, and then I come home and work around the house for your grandma. But he's telling me. He said, listen, I get about 3 hours of sleep a night. He said, that's good enough for any man. Looked at him and I said, well, God must have messed up on me because I need 8 hours. I'm tired. Listen, most of the time I'm here about 8 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes we don't leave until 10:30 or 11 o'clock, but before we even leave, I am exhausted. About 5 o'clock, my physical body is already checked out, and my mind is the only thing that's going. Yeah, it's horrible. Get it, all you who labor, physically or mentally. I heard somebody tell me one time, they said, preacher, they said, listen, don't even tell us about laboring. You have no idea what it means to labor. If you really want to labor, then, they got this big solution to, for me to go and labor. I said, here's the thing. Most days, well, I'm going to take that back. Brother Robert can vouch for this. I was going to say most days I don't labor physically, but some days I do. Most of my labor happens to be mentally and spiritually. I think I'd much more rather be tired physically than a mentally tired. Because when I'm tired mentally, it's over. I'm done. I am really checking out. If my body gets tired, I can keep pushing my body. I can keep pushing my mind. I can keep pushing my spirit. I'm at a breaking point. And heavy laden. What does it mean to be heavy laden? It means to be burdened. It means to have a big load of rock laid upon your back. Laden where you're bent over and you can barely move from the load that you're carrying. Ever feel that way? You ever feel like, man, if somebody adds one more weight, you are going to snap? That actually happens. In fact, they used to have a television program called Snapped. Did you ever see it? It was about people who couldn't take anymore, and they snapped. And usually when they snapped, that usually meant murder was the next thing to happen, but they snapped. I love when people go, well, I just don't know how anybody could do something like that. I do. They had all they could take. And they snapped. They broke. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, I think I'm going to go kill my husband. I'm dying to go to prison. Man, I hear the food in there is just delicious. Nobody gets up in the morning and says, man, I heard those steel metal beds are to die for. I can't wait to go to prison. Should I do it in front of my kids? Or should I do it in the Walmart parking lot where the news media can find me real quick, right? Nobody does that. But when people snap, it is instant. They don't think about it. It just one too many ways. That's it. So, but what does Jesus say about that? How do we get over this hurry sickness? How do we get beyond feeling like we're about to snap? This will sound really, really practical today. He says, come to me, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light, because Jesus never got in a hurry. Even when he was called to go to Jairus' daughter who was sick. Remember that story? And on the way, this woman had an issue of blood and stopped him. He didn't get in a hurry. He took his time with her. He did whatever. And guess what they did? Somebody came from Jairus' house, came over and said, Jesus, forget it. No use now. She's dead. Look, you've piddled around. You've wasted enough time. Just forget it. Don't even bother coming now. Jesus said, hold on. She's just asleep. Chill out. I'll get there when I get there. I like Jesus. I love Jesus. Me and him would have got along great. And we do. That's what I start telling my wife. Me and Jesus will be there in a little bit. We'll be there when we get there. Jesus wasn't in a hurry. He didn't get in a hurry. Man, what a model for each of our lives. Here's the first one if you're taking notes today. It's very practical, very simple. I want you to be able to leave your day going, oh man, I can do that. I'm going to give you something real profound. You ready? Here's the first one. Slow down. I thought you were going to give us something profound. Listen, we have signs on the side of the road that say slow down for a reason, don't we? The reason they say slow down is because if you're going too fast, you may go off the side of the road and you may end up in an automobile accident. All I'm telling you is the best thing you and I can do is slow down before we snap, before the accident, before the nervous breakdown. Slow down. You say, that just seems so simple. It is. But the things we have the most difficulty with in life are the things that come simple. We don't have a problem with the great big complex things. We have a problem with the simple things. Why do you think more and more people have difficulty coming to Jesus? It's simple. Even so, the little child can understand. Well, no, preacher, it's got to be harder than that. No, it's not. It's so simple. We just need to chill out and take a breather. We can start by setting some goals. We can start by adding some margin to our lives. Do you realize that most of us live our lives with little to no margins to keep us in check with our Creator and our bodies? We don't. In fact, most of us, we live life on the edge. And if you don't believe me, here's what I'm talking about. Part of the reason we're in a hurry is that if it's going to take 20 minutes to get somewhere, normally we will always allocate 15. Oh, I can make up 5 extra minutes somewhere. I hear you. Or somebody will say, well, the GPS says it's going to take 20 minutes, so I'm going to leave exactly 20 minutes. The problem is that is not allowing for any margin, no obstacles, slow traffic, because we don't have any of that around here, amen? Don't get on I-4, right? Flat tire, God forbid. Have you changed a flat tire lately? It takes longer than 30 seconds. You need to look for that because sometimes it happens. Oh, I'll call AAA. Forget that. That's an hour. All right? It might be free for that stop, but it's an hour. Or what about sick kids? Nobody knew that the child was going to start throwing up in the back seat, right? And you got to pull over and deal with that. No, I didn't plan for that. No. What about, we have 20 minutes to get there. I am on my way. And you go, oh man, I forgot to get gas last night. And every pump is full. I got to wait now. I got to wait for somebody in front of me who is moving at the pace of a snail to figure out how to get their gas can lid off. I want to just jump out and go there and say, can I help you with that? I will pump it for you. Right? I'm in a hurry. The best part is, we're going down the road and the car in front of us doesn't go as fast as we want them to, and we think they can hear us. Get out of the way. What's wrong with you? Can you not go any faster than that? And I'm thinking, they don't hear you. They have no idea what you just said. They're not going to move any faster. They are chilled. They are moving at a slow pace, and guess what? They're probably going to outlive you. Slow down. It is that simple. Why not allocate 35 minutes? That way it would give us some margin and we wouldn't get frustrated by all the delays. We have a delay and we go, oh good, I still got 5 minutes left. Oh good, I still got 10 minutes left. I'm going to arrive and be able to actually breathe before I have to go in. The worst part is when you show up to where you're going, you're running, you're right on time. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. Oh my goodness. This old lady would not get out of my way this morning. It was just horrible. Next thing you're 5 minutes late again. Right? And the person sitting there waiting on you is like, listen, I don't care to hear any of that. That's your fault. Secondly, keep the Sabbath. Now that sounds like a very simple one, and we ought to just be a no-brainer for us that are followers of Jesus. But did you realize that there is actually a reason that God created 7 days in a week? And it was not for you and I to work 7 days a week. It was for us to spend 6 days working, and if you can get it done in 5, woohoo! Good for you. Go for it. I try. 6 to work, but 1 to rest and worship. If you go over the book of Leviticus, you'll find in Leviticus chapter 23, verse number 3, it's one of the very many places. 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of solemn rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work on it. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. And then if you look over to Exodus chapter 20 in the big 10, what does it say? Remember the Sabbath, verses 8 through 11, I believe it is. Kind of funny that he just give one verse to it. 8 through 11, remember the Sabbath and to keep it holy. Now, I get it. There's a lot of people that say, well, preacher, do you believe the Sabbath day is on a Saturday or do you believe it's on a Sunday? I believe it is whatever day you can make holy to the Lord. Amen. Well, wait. Is it not one of those, a Saturday or a Sunday? Well, according to the Jewish calendar, it would have been on Saturday. Saturday would have been the true Sabbath, okay? But then after Jesus came and brought grace, was buried and rose again, now we as Christians celebrate the Sabbath on a Sunday for the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus. Well, what about people who have to work on Sunday? This is not my Sabbath. Do you realize as your pastor, I work on Sunday. Oh, you get to go home and rest. Actually, I don't. I'm teaching this afternoon. I'll be back tonight between the hours of probably 6:30 and 9 to work on the building and to meet some people for counseling and all sorts of other. See, it's not work. This is a work day for me. It's not my Sabbath. My Sabbath is typically on Friday. I try to get everything done by Thursday night. And on Friday, my goal is not to touch ministry, but to rest. Spend time with family and focus on Jesus. Remember the Sabbath. Guys, if you don't have one day to come apart, you will come apart. That's weird. If you don't have one day to come apart, you will come apart. That's how God created it. You and I were meant to have a time of rest. It's not time to worry over deadlines and projects. It's not time to worry about unfinished business. We'll be blessed. And we'll accomplish so much more in our lives if we would learn to live by the design that God has created for our lives to be lived by. I'm trying to tell them, Lord. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Now, should you come and worship with other believers? Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. I understand some people have to work on Sundays. And some people end up worshiping with us on Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, via stream, the internet. Some people can't make it to worship, but they can make it to a Graceway group. Listen, I don't care how you do it. You need a way to plug into the body and build community with the body of believers. But the Sabbath is not about church. The Sabbath is about God and rest. Well, shouldn't people come to church? I think people ought to come to Jesus first. And if they come to Jesus, then they want to come to church. Amen? 3, practice regular times of solitude. Man, how simple is that? Practice regular times of solitude. Did you realize that most of us just don't have any time alone and away from the rush of the day, let alone from other people? Most of us have no time for solitude. We're always in the rush. We're always on the hamster wheel. We're always running, and we're always around other people. Let me tell you what signs of solitude will do for you. Times of solitude will give you a clarity like no other. It's a time for reflection. It's a time for evaluation. It is a time to sit, not speak, but sit in the presence of the living God. That's what times of solitude will do for you. Well, that doesn't sound like any fun. I just have a type A personality. I get it. I love being with people. If you're not a type A personality, if you're an introvert, maybe being around a lot of people, it might drain you. But when you're like me, being around other people does not drain me. It fuels me. It charges me. And somebody says, how in the world do you have all that energy and all that strength? Thank you. Because when I get around you, and I get around other people, I can be sluggish, I can be tired, I can be worn out, I can be weary, but I get around you and it fuels me. It fires me up because I need to be with people. Sometimes to my detriment. Because what I also need is to get along, get away, still out of sight, so that I can be with Jesus in times of total solitude. Jesus set that example for us, that he often withdrew to a lonely place to be by himself, especially after being around people. Solitude is when we turn off the activity to experience a time of quietness with God. You want to find rest? You want to relieve those heavy burdens? You want to get free from the weariness? Find times of solitude. There's a thing that I listen to online. It's oh man, I just slipped out of my head. It's a music I listen to. It's not a song. It doesn't have words to it. It's a special music that I listen to, and it's really solitude music is what it's for. And it doesn't have a melody to it. And I turn it on the background, and I just listen to it. And it calms me, and I'm able to focus on Jesus. I don't know how you do that, but it's got to happen. And then the fourth one, I'm done. Don't anybody say anything. Get enough sleep. Wow, man! Now that was profound. Get enough sleep. Here's what I've always found. When we have too much to be done and not enough time to do it in, we find ourselves trying to borrow from time that we don't need to be borrowing from. We can't borrow from anywhere else, and we say, well, instead of getting 8 hours of sleep tonight, I'll just get 5. Well, guess what happens when we wake up the next day? You got a whole other day's workload. Now you're running on 5 hours of sleep, and you still didn't get everything done. So all that's got to be transferred over the next day. Well, that night, guess what you do? Well, hey, guess I'm going on 3 hours of sleep tonight, Marty. Listen, our bodies weren't made for that. I already told you I'm an 8-hour guy. I get less than 8 hours, I get cranky. Nobody else has that problem. I know y'all are super spiritual. You never get cranky, I bet. But I'm going to tell you, this boy, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I get cranky. In fact, when you don't get enough sleep, you're also given more to temptation. So I wanted to start with the I'll give you the outline. HALT. H-A-L-T. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. When you get any one of those 4, you're giving more to temptation. You don't have the strength to fight it. HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. When you and I don't get enough sleep, we are more prone to give in to temptation in our lives. Because we're tired. We're wore out. Get enough sleep. Well, how do we do that? Turn the television off. Put your phone on silent. Go to bed. Well, I don't understand. How do you do that? Well, if you get up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you'll be ready for bed by about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. I promise you. Some of y'all may be going, hey, listen, I'll be ready for bed earlier than that. Okay? I'm just telling you. For me, if I sleep later in the day, then I'm going to stay up till 12:30, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. But guess what happens the next day? I'm going to sleep again. See, you can't do that. You got to set your schedule. Set some goals. Set some margin in your life. Get enough sleep. One of the main reasons where we try to borrow time is areas we try to do in our sleep. We're not superhumans, folks. We're not robots. We weren't designed to live like that. And don't be deceived into thinking that we are. God didn't design us that way. I love what Proverbs 3:24 says. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. Yes, you will lie down, and your sleep will be sweet. The word sweet there is translated refreshing. Your sleep will be refreshing. If you get enough sleep, you'll wake up in the morning and you will feel so much better, and you won't be as tired, you won't be as weary. You'll be refreshed in body, spirit, and mind. Come on. Here's what I learned. You don't have to live in the 1900s to enjoy a restful and healthy pace of life. We can start today finding more rest. We can start today coming to Jesus to find rest for our weary souls. And so let me ask you a question. the life you're living left you worn out? Are you burning the candle at both ends and you feel completely drained? Preach on, preacher! Sorry, I need that in there. See, when I preach, sometimes I preach into the choir. It's not just for you. I love when people go, man, I think you were talking right to me today. And I'm thinking, you don't have a clue. I was preaching to myself the whole time. Daily I have to slow down. Daily I have to find solitude. Daily I've got to get enough sleep. Because I was raised up burning the candle at both ends. Are you just tired? You don't feel like going on? Are you washed out mentally and emotionally? Maybe you feel like you just have all you can take. Maybe it's from living a single parent lifestyle. You're struggling, you do all you can do, you just work hard as you can, and you lay down at night and you go, God, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. God, I'm so tired. I'm so worn out. Maybe your job's left you drained. Maybe your family's left you drained. Maybe your marriage has left you drained. Maybe you're so tired. Why don't you come to Jesus? Why don't you come to Jesus? The capital need. Find rest in Him.